Yeah, Doggo is the meme killer. Cashing up with your thriller. House party lights all flashing. Pop a bottle, no relaxing. Flexing in the VIP. Bitches kinda feeling free. Thug life, we wildin' out. Nothing but that money cloud. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drinking hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo flying. Got my crew, yeah, we're deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it high. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drinking hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we're deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it high. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Popping tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drinking hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it higher. New York City, we own the night. The Doggo fam, we ready to fight. Meme lords, we taking over. Flip the script, we got the clover. All these hookers wanna front, but we grinding, never stunt. Doggo making big moves. In the game, we got the groove. So raise your glass, let's toast to the ones who do the most. Thug life, we living bold. Doggo worldwide, watch it unfold. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. So remember, the name is clear. Doggo's here, bring the cheer. Me money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly. So remember, the name is clear. Doggo's here, bring the cheer. Me money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly.
Doggo. Oh man, I love it. Through the market's ups and downs and all around, my friends at Polka Gold and Doggo are doing great. Why? Because they locked the liquidity. They renounced it. They burned it. They just left it, right? They put a bunch of money in there to start the deal, and it's there. So it has a floor. It has a floor. Okay, now the floor is in Algorand, so the floor at this point is going up. It was going down before, but now as the markets really start to turn, Algorand, of course, not the usual suspects that started this deal on Algorand. Okay, it's an Italian guy, MIT guy, not the normal central bankers who are behind a lot of these new tokens out there. Polka Gold has the lock liquidity, performing much better than the other assets, and then Doggo has over 10% of the Polka Gold liquidity locked in there. Doggo now has the Chinese involved, I believe, the Chinese, the Asian people coming involved. Anyway, having a great time with that. Big believer in it. Keep pushing it, you guys. It's not financial advice. These are highly speculative assets. I get paid to do this stuff. Okay, you are warned. Good morning, everybody. We're joining on the you're watching on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana, and as well around that's on the Smart Money Culture TV network, and then as well around the world on YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, and all those other places. I woke up just naturally this morning. My alarm did not go off, so I was a couple minutes behind. But luckily still here. I guess when you wake up at the same time every morning, you end up waking up at the same time. We are having a great time, though. We're having a great time with the family. Of course, my daughters are 9 and 14 now, and really we're just having a great time. Wife and I's anniversary is this week. We've been married a long time now. That's fun too. You should get married and have kids. Maybe even have a couple wives. That'd be better off. No, I didn't say that. No, but definitely get married and have some kids. Don't miss the moment. Get married and have some kids. If you missed the moment, hey, you missed it. It's okay. But if you didn't miss the moment, go ahead and do it. She starts to get that twinkle in her eye. You just go for it. Solutions from South Africa. Salutations. Salutations, my friend. I didn't know you're in South Africa. How about that? Pretty cool, man. South Africa, the land of Elon Musk. You know, Elon, who had it in the cards that a guy from South Africa was going to save free speech in the United States? Yeah, or even in the world, basically, because this is where the only place where it exists. Now, the funny thing about it is, not funny thing, but years ago, one of the ways that I actually became known in from a lot of people was because I was fighting to stop this handoff of ICANN. I was like adamant about it. I was like, this is going to stop free speech. I was right. They basically, the servers and everything used to be in the United States. And of course, we're the only ones with, quote unquote, free speech, right? So, once they handed that off, the root naming system of the internet, Obama did that. It wasn't just Obama, though. I was working with the Trump campaign, cabinet members. They weren't cabinet members yet. And we were behind the scenes. We had Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell agreed that he wasn't going to do it. And then at the last minute, he funded it. He wasn't going to fund it or something like that. I think that was the deal. Well, it was a long time ago now. But that was, I would say, the beginning of the end, but it started long before that. Things take a long time. These people, they work a long time. I'll tell you some interesting things. I'm going to bring on Matt here in a couple minutes. Oil is down below $70 a barrel, if you can believe it. Oil is below $70 a barrel right now. We had a nice move on gold. We had a nice move on silver. We had some nice moves on crypto as well. And then we had a bit of a dump this morning. Some alerts went off on my thing. But again, this is the sideways chop, guys. And BlackRock is entering their own ETF. Okay, they're entering on their own ETF. And so, that's another thing going on. BlackRock, they don't want to buy high, they want to buy low. So of course they want those markets low, but as soon as you saw that they were going to be entering, you knew the price action was probably going to come down. Now this will probably continue, this sideways action, I've been saying, into October, probably mid-September, which we're getting there. Okay, so you're going to want to be you're going to want a dollar cost average in. Let's see here. Okay, just reading my friend Matt's message he sent over here. So, as well, in my title, I talked about AI, the political chaos, the longevity breakthroughs. Now, this is the AI revolution's market impact. The AI is having such an impact on everything that we do. Everything. You may not even realize it. But as well, there's this like jockeying of position because, guys, we're going to live a long time. Like, I read off some of the ages around the world. I mean, 116 kind of seems to be like the age right now, right? I mean, that's like, okay. And then that's like the oldest person. But there's quite a few 116-year-olds. Actually, I was with family over the beach holiday that we went to the beach. And she's the great is 100. She's 100 years old, and man, she's still doing it. She's riding her every day. She rides her little bike and she does her stuff like this, and and she's around family too. I mentioned the family again because that makes a difference, guys. If you're around, if you're just waiting to die, then that's not good. But if you're around family and there's kids around and there's then that makes a big difference. But 120 is what I've been saying, but I really think I should I want to hit this 120, but actually I think I should extend that to at least 150. And if I make it to 150, man, I probably am not going. I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, guys, we're on like the precipice. We're going to figure out how to live really, really long. And it's one of those, so you have the powers that be, and they don't want all of these little peons as they think of them to live that long. They only want them to live that long. They think they're the only ones that should live that long. So that's one of the things, and that's part of, in my opinion, what you see happening in this, these people that want to reduce the population deal, because we are going to, between the robots and the AI, guys, some of us are going to live a long time. They're going to live a long time. Okay, long time. Will AI robots redefine humanity? There's no doubt about it, guys. There's going to be a lot of part robots running around. As I talked about yesterday too, and they talked about the Olympics and everything else. This whole erasing this Title IV is just crazy. I mean, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? I mean, you have like the feminist movement, I guess, right? Or whatever. And that's turned into like, oh, we're not going to have genders in sports. I mean, how is that fair? And so now girls don't get their own sports or something. I mean, this is like crazy talk. This is crazy. But anyway, I wonder if that is also lining up some of the stuff that'll happen, because we're going to have guys that are mixed with robots really soon, and they're going to want to play sports. And how are we going to tell? It's not going to be obvious. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It really is. Longevity trend suggests a new age cap. I'm saying the new age cap is a relative term. It's going to be 150 soon. Trump's fate nears on September 18th. Prison or triumph? You guys think they're going to throw him in jail? What are you going to do if they do it? I'm going to be in New York. You know that, right? I think. I believe I'm going to be in New York. We have the UN Blockchain Week coming up. Thanks everyone for signing up for that. We'll have a series of events during the UN General Assembly. UN Blockchain Week. It's really kind of 2 weeks, but it's all right. The UN General Assembly starts on the 12th. So we'll have all the big guys here. I'm in DC at the moment, but here, relative term, New York's just 3 hours up the way. 3 or 4 hour drive, or a short flight. Still 3 or 4 hours. So I kind of like to drive sometimes. New York kind of went through some phases. It's hard to, it's always been tricky to drive in there, but now it's even more tricky. But of course, I'm basically a local. I lived in New York for a while as well. So it's not hard for me. Anyway, let's talk the markets. I got the great Matt Dixon here. Sir Matt.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Pleased to be back
Amazing.
again.
You look great.
Yeah, feeling good. So
Good.
Markets, there's still a lot of fear. I'll just jump in, share my screen as usual. Just have a look at this fear
Oh
gauge.
man, there's fear. There's fear. Everybody's like, okay, I'm going like, oh God, no.
Actually, I hope you can see my screen there.
Yep. Oh, look at that. 29.
Yeah, so we're in a situation of fear. So I just wrote, this is the next post that I did. Fear pervades the market as we await jobs data later today. So
Yep.
we had the ISM manufacturing yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Came out quite a bit weaker than expected again. So manufacturing has been in contraction now for pretty much the whole of the last year. So manufacturing is contracting. But what people got their eyes on is, of course, the employment data. So we've got some employment numbers coming out later today. That's going to have a big impact on the Fed rate decision, the FOMC rate decision coming on the 18th. So that's the same day as the Trump news, isn't it? So we'll see what happens there. So
it's like, man, that's going to be a crazy day. I realized kind of today, I was like, I'll probably be in New York. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, I thought the Trump thing was going to be postponed. I thought he was managing to wriggle out of that one for the time being, but I don't know.
Well, he wiggled out of a few of them, and then they redid it here in DC. And then, I think that they're after him so much. I just can't imagine that they're not going to sentence him to something. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. It's crazy times, man.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's your deal.
That's not my deal. I guess it is my deal.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll just have a quick look. The S&P has been really interesting. We got top of wave through. We've had a perfect wave 4 down here on the S&P 500, and we had it signaled exactly by regular bearish divergence. So if you'd followed that signal, you'd have known precisely where to sell or where to close your positions, expecting this wave 4 correction. We may or may not be quite complete. It's actually very satisfying at the moment. So the move down, we measured that, transposed the top of this wave. 1.618 gave us a precise bottom on the S&P 500. Doesn't mean it's all over. It could be a more complex correction, but we've got this important news coming up tomorrow. So I'll just flip over. We've got employment data today. We've got non-farm payrolls tomorrow. Non-farm payrolls is a really big market mover. I've been following this for many years in the FX markets as well. It really does impact the interest rate expectations and the US dollar. So we'll take a look at those. This is why it's so important. So this is the SARM indicator, which we mentioned it before, but it's a SARM rule, and it's actually one that's been accurate for the past 60 odd years. So every single time this SARM rule indicator goes above 0.5, it signals recession to come. Right now, we just flipped to 0.53. So every time it's done that, we've had a recession. So these gray areas are recession. So these are all the recessions that we've had for the past 64 years now, 64 odd years. So it's been accurate every single time. And right now, we've got another indicator flashing just slightly above the 0.5. But every time it has flashed above 0.5, we've had a recession. So we need to watch these employment figures because this is based on employment. The SARM rule is actually based on employment. So if we see further decline in employment, in other words, a rise in unemployment, it's telling us the economy is slowing and it's a precursor towards potential recession. So not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the Fed are looking to reduce rates, so they're trying to stay ahead of the curve. It's really difficult because it's a really tough balancing act, as we've gone over many times in the past. They're trying to maintain decent growth in the economy, and at the same time, they're trying to control inflation. And the problem is inflation's still above target, and it's a bit stubborn at the moment. So the Fed are struggling with, do they maintain high rates to reduce that inflation? Or they're now getting pulled on the other side now. Employment is declining a little bit more unemployment. And as I say, we saw the ISM manufacturing ticking down yet again in contraction. So it came out, I think, well, it's below the 50 level. 50 is anything above 50 is expansion, below 50 is contraction, and it was well below 50 and below expectations. So it does appear we're hitting some headwinds now with the economy, and I think the Fed are going to have to act. So the big question is it going to be 25 basis points on the 18th, or will they try and do 50 and done?
This is the big question. I can't imagine they do 50. What do you think?
I don't think it's 50. I think 50 would show a bit of panic. Yeah. And I actually think and I know you've talked about October. I think we're setting up for a beautiful October, as you say.
Yes.
I was just wondering, we've got October, we've got Movember. I'm just wondering, what is September? Is September anything? Do we have a name for September?
I don't think so.
I was trying to Google it.
September is get ready for October.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think we're probably going to get a good end to September. Hopefully.
I agree. No, I think usually October really starts mid-September.
Yeah. So it could start potentially from the 18th if we get a nice 25 basis point cut.
And imagine if Trump doesn't go to jail. If Trump doesn't go to, because I also think that psychologically, I think the markets in general, especially the crypto markets, want a Trump presidency. And if they think that Trump presidency is not going to happen, and then that affects the markets.
Yeah, but I think that's it was a nailed on certainty at one time when Biden was the
when Biden, when Sleepy Joe was
So
real.
it was a nailed uncertainty then. It's no longer a certainty. Maybe that's why we've got such uncertainty in the markets. But I don't know. I think there is fear across a whole range of areas. As I say, we talked about ISA manufacturing. So growth is stuttering, just beginning to splutter now a little bit. Unemployment's just beginning to pick up a little bit. We've still got stubborn inflation. Interestingly, I just flip over right now to oil. We did get some good news on the oil front, didn't we?
Yeah, look at that, huh?
When I say good news, I mean it depends which side of the
Right.
side of the trade you are. But as a consumer, and regarding inflation, this should be good news.
Yeah.
So oil's taken a sharp turn to the downside, and my understanding was that that's obviously consumption is down a little bit, which is kind of a bad sign because it shows maybe the economy is beginning to slow a bit. But I think one of the main drivers for this was there was a lot of fear in the market over potential escalation, particularly in the Middle East. And I understand now that they are attempting peace talks, and there may be some kind of resolution there. And when they mentioned that, that's when the oil price really slumped down quite hard. So it's come down. I mean, it's only a short while ago we were up at $87, and we're now $69. That's just in the past few months, isn't it? I mean, when was it now? In April we were at $87, and we're not many months from there. What is it? It's not even 6 months, 5-6 months, and we're now at 69. So massive fall.
Big move.
That has got to impact inflation. So that has got to give the Fed some room for maneuver, I believe. So I do think that the Fed, you see, the problem is if they do 50 basis points, then, as I say, that could be perceived as a panic move, that they're really worried about the economy. And I don't think the Fed want to give that message at all. The other thing is, if they did 50, some people would say, oh, they're just doing 50 and done, and then that's the end to the interest rate reductions. So if they do 25 basis points, it leaves the door open to further rate cuts, and that's actually what the markets want to feel and hear. Because if they're thinking there may be a cycle of rate cuts, then that actually is much better for markets. If they see one 50 basis point cut and done, then that's not really a good sign for the market. So I think, again, it will show that they're kind of feeling their way, waiting for the data to inform them. And I think that'll be much more of a disciplined approach that the markets will like. So I'm personally absolutely certain they're going to do 25 basis points. And I am also confident it's going to be good for the markets. So we'll just jump over to the markets briefly. One I wanted to look at in particular was Toncoin. I've got that here. So Toncoin did actually dip below that support that I had. It's been a long-term support. So right back May, I say long-term, depends on what time frame you're looking at, but Ton's not been around that long anyway. So long-term in Ton terms, we dipped below that support briefly. I think we're back above support right now. So maybe it is holding round about that support. I've tried to look at a long-term wave count on Ton, and it's really difficult to see it as impulsive to the upside. So I'm just thinking maybe it's a large A wave higher and a large B wave down, and then we get a large C wave higher, 2 new all-time highs. But as I say, I'm actually concerned about these markets. Even if they get a settlement in the Middle East, we've still got the Russia problem, and when he's back against the wall, I'm talking about Putin here. Who knows what he's going to do? They've changed their policy toward nuclear, so that's actually a bit of a worry as well. So there's a lot of worries still there in the background. So I actually
a lot of stuff. I mean, stuff it could change like on a dime. You know what I mean? Like that's why this whole year, we talked about it a lot in the beginning of the year, not so much now, but they're funny feeling markets, aren't they? I mean, it's hollow feeling markets.
Yeah, no doubt there's worries. I mean, we've gone over this and I've looked at the various scenarios for Bitcoin, and short, medium term, I still think they're really positive. This is clearly just some kind of correction. It's not an impulsive move down, even with Toncoin, even with the bad news we had with Pavel Durov being arrested when he was. That gave us this last sharp downturn. But even so, it's not impulsive. There's too much overlap there. So I still think this arrow is telling me what direction I'm expecting. Even if it goes a bit lower, I'm not overly concerned. I'm actually long the market. I am in positions. I'm long the market on various assets right now, risk assets. And I think that even if it goes lower, I'm not going to be particularly concerned. I actually just want to hold my positions. And if they drop lower, I'll just see these as more buying opportunities. And I never
dollar cost average, folks.
Yeah, dollar cost average. And I never like to put all my assets in one go because you never know for certain. And if it drops lower, you want something left to be able to buy a bit lower. And if it drops lower again, and this is why dollar cost average has got to be one of the best trading strategies that was ever devised. I mean, it's very, very simple, but it's very, very effective because absolutely nobody knows the markets for certain. So as I say, this looks corrective down. I think we're headed higher with Toncoin. The other thing is we actually do have some very nice bullish divergence here. So we have lower lows on price with corresponding higher lows on RSI. And that signals that we're going to get an upturn. If I just expand this out a bit, you'll see that at the moment, just so you can see the actual candles there, we have actually come back above that support. So we didn't convincingly break the support. And if we looked at a slightly longer term, we'll see that the daily didn't close below support. Now that's really important to me. I look at the daily for these support levels, very, very important. Sometimes you'll see them drop below on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, but if you look at the daily, and if it doesn't close below a support, then that support, as far as I'm concerned, technically was never breached properly. It's just a temporary breach with a shadow or a spike below. That's not important. You often do get spikes below support levels and above resistance levels because that is actually the whales and the market makers taking out positions, taking out stop losses. So that's why when I place a stop loss, I don't place it too close below. This is a really good risk reward area because that was a support level, no doubt about it. But if you place it too close below, they see your positions, remember, and they will spike prices below just to take you out. And that's, I think, precisely what happened here. So I'm really, really encouraged by this. So on the daily, we have not closed below support there. And on the 4 hour, we do have beautiful bullish divergence here. Yep. Wherever you look at it from, we've got nice bullish divergence telling us there's going to be a move up in price, precisely what's happened. So right now, again, I'll be looking at entering into a long position on this with a stop loss below the previous low here, not below this support, but below the previous low. That is now the risk on this trade, and potential upside is massive. I think potentially and most likely
they have the wallets they have a lot of wallets. They're doing more and more transactions. They have the community. I haven't seen a community like Ton. I mean, it's like reminiscent of all the big communities, Ethereum in the early days. Solana,
it's fantastic. The potential is amazing, and the good thing is this is a corrective move down. And as I say, even if you were to dip lower, it doesn't look likely we're going to go lower now because, as I say, we have this nice bullish divergence in place, and we have a couple of nice green candles on the 4 hour, and we're now above this support. So there's a lot of positives there, and then the macroeconomic stuff as well is really supportive. So as I say, downside is absolutely minimal, tiny downside with massive upside. And I think the upside is beyond the previous all-time high. So I think we get above 8.3 as a minimum and maybe well above that. I actually think we're going to get well above it. So I think we're in for a good run, whether it's end of September, whether it's October, as you're saying, and even into November. I think we're set for a really good bull run on this and other assets. And going back to the S&P 500, as I said, I actually think we're 5,500 now. It's been a perfect ABC move down that we've had. Wave 4 ABC. We can see clearly it's 3 waves down, 3 waves up, then 5 down. That is what's called a flat correction. I think we're going to push to new all-time highs, and my target is actually 6,000 on the S&P 500. I think that's going to be really key. A lot of people were saying it's impossible. Well, the S&P has been doing the impossible now for a long, long time.
Right.
Yeah, and don't forget we had NVIDIA earnings were great. We got a massive sell-off on NVIDIA. Here it is. Got a really big sell-off, but I think those earnings were great. And I think Nvidia will drive Nasdaq and so on to new all-time highs as well. So again, we've had a corrective move down on Nasdaq, and we're going to push to higher highs there. But moving back to crypto, just looking at where are we now? I mean, Bitcoin. Yeah, again, it's got a sell-off, but I'll just scroll out a little bit to the daily yet again, and we can see very clearly there. Looks like it's a powerful move up in wave 3, corrective move down in wave 4. I still think we're on the way up in wave 5 to take us new all-time highs. And if we get S&P to 6,000, there's no, we definitely think there's a reasonable possibility for Bitcoin to hit 100,000. My next target is actually 84,000 to the upside. Once we break the previous all-time high of 74-ish, I think the next upside move is to 84, and I think there's real potential to hit around 100K if we get 6,000 on the S&P 500. My darling is Sol, of course. I say of course. I really do like Sol, and they've got those upgrades coming in this month. I think we're going to get some massive upside. So this is a buy the rumor, sell the news, or the opposite way around. We've got this rumor coming up. It's going to be a positive event. So it's actually in this case, sell the rumor, buy the news kind of thing. I think it's going to be almost the opposite. So we've had quite a sell-off on Solana. I'm already long Solana, and if it dips lower, I'll just be buying more. As I say, when it dipped to 109 the other day, or 110, whatever it was, that was the time to really get in. I think we had an impulsive move up, an ABC move down, or WXY. I've got it labeled here, similar. We had regular bullish divergence. I think we're headed higher, and I'm looking to DCA further, just add further. I DCA both on the way down and on the way up, by the way, with Solana. I think we're going to head to a new local high above this 209. I think that's definitely on the cards. I think we'll revisit the previous all-time high of 258, I think it was, in the not too distant future. I think we looked at Bitcoin, definitely. Ethereum, again, is a very similar picture. Corrective move down here to wave 4. And I think we're going to push up powerfully in wave 5. I think Ethereum is going to surprise us nicely. We'll get above the previous local high, a bit like the others that we looked at, like Solana. We've got a local high here of just over 4,000, all-time high of 4,008. So like Solana, I think we're going to blast through the local high, blast through it towards the previous all-time high. But then the question is, do we manage to break the all-time high? I think we're going to do it for Bitcoin for sure. But for these other tokens like Solana and Ethereum, we may just challenge that previous all-time high. We may or may not break it. My bet at the moment is that we might not break the actual all-time high for those tokens, or if we do, it might be a temporary affair before we turn down. I do think that there's big worries coming, maybe early next year, maybe right at the end of this year, maybe early next year. I'm going to be quite concerned about these markets, so I will be protecting positions. Even though I'm long now, I will try to hold on to those long positions, and I'll look to protect them. We haven't done XRP for quite a while, but I'll just touch on it.
Well, that's because it can be so boring in between its big moves.
Absolutely, XRP, the boring token, but it's boring until it isn't, because when it does break out, it's powerful, really powerful. Yep. I think that we've probably most likely completed a correction, WXY correction on the way down. I think we're headed for some upside. I mean, XRP at 54, 0.5499, it's half a dollar basically. There's massive potential upside, and if we were to scroll out, that previous spike high we got around 90 cents was somewhere here, wasn't it? 93 cents or something. I think we're going to take that out. I really believe we will take that out. There's a lot of upside potential there, so I do think XRP will surprise to the upside like the others. Just checking on time, pretty much up on time, but one I'll just mention very briefly. I did mention Rollbit before. It's actually doing really nice. It's been one of the great performers, actually. It's
the big community on Rollbit too, man. Nice community on Rollbit.
Absolutely, yeah, great community. It's got great utility. It's one of the best utilities, and this is what I look at when I'm looking at, is a token any use for investment? Looks to me like, again, we've had a 3 up, some kind of corrective move down. I actually think the potential for Rollbit, bearing in mind the real utility and the fact they're burning a lot of tokens, limited supply, burning a lot, and they've actually really generating massive revenues, which are being used to buy and burn the token. So for me, it genuinely is one of the better bets. I think that we're going to surpass that previous all-time high of 27 cents. Bearing in mind we're just 7 cents now, I think there's massive upside to be had there. So that's one that I'll look to, you know, again, well, I have actually got a position. I'll probably look to maybe add some positions targeting that previous all-time high, and look to take profits around that level, hopefully. So we're talking about 4x potentially. So one of the ones that I think there's real potential for upside. So I'll leave it there, I think, for today. There's so much more we can talk about, but time's pretty well up. So hope that's helpful. I'm really positive, just to summarize, and let's see what the news comes out today with employment, and then tomorrow with NFPs, which obviously employment data, non-farm payroll. They're going to be key to the Fed's rate decision later this month. But I think we're heading into a positive period for the risk asset markets. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Bruce, and look forward to catch up tomorrow.
Thank you, Matt. Look forward to seeing you, brother. Have a great day.
Cheers. You too. Bye for now.
Cheers. The great Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon with his market report. I'll tell you what, guys, this is world-class. This is world-class information that we give on a daily basis, and we are working behind the scenes in order to build this out in order to include everybody a bit more. But, you know, this Elliott wave theory that we use, these Fibonacci numbers, this is, you know, the Fibonacci numbers are very interesting, actually. These are numbers that no matter where you look in, no matter where you look in nature, the Fibonacci numbers are always there. I mean, this is like really interesting, interesting stuff. The Fibonacci numbers, and as well, we use Elliott wave, and Elliott wave, of course, uses the Fibonacci numbers, but really interesting stuff. Fibonacci. Really interesting stuff that we use to predict the markets. And it's interesting now as well because let me just so I was going to give you a little bit of this Fibonacci stuff. It's interesting now as well that we have AI working in the market. So the markets, one of the ways that the markets are even more, I wouldn't say more predictable, but I mean, you know, you have AI. Like I was talking to my brothers the other day, and I was pulling up some of the every day at a certain time for however long I looked, the whole market was like retracing to the exact same spot. Like pretty much like every asset that I was trading, you know, however many it was at the moment, like 9 or 10 different assets. I mean, it was crazy. So you have AI that's now working as well. And, you know, so the markets are performing as they normally do, right? Okay, yeah, here we go. We talk about, this is actually one of my posts. Beautiful. Let me just share this real quick. Just very, very quickly here. Talks a little bit about the Fibonacci numbers and the Fibonacci sequence here. There we go. So I said, we talk about the Fibonacci sequence often on the Impact Money Show. Fibonacci numbers also have a practical application in various fields, such as computer algorithms, stock market analysis, and even plant growth patterns. It's like the Swiss Army knife of mathematics. The Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, usually starting with a 0 and a 1. So it goes like this: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on. It's like a never-ending dance of digits. Now, let's talk about the theory behind the sequence. The Fibonacci numbers have a fascinating connection to the golden ratio, which is approximately 1, and you hear Matt talk about this, 1.6, right? Which is approximately 1.61803398875. This ratio appears all over the place in nature, art, and architecture. It's like the universe's favorite number. So we use these numbers when we are predicting markets, okay? So there you have it. The Fibonacci numbers in theory in a nutshell. So go forth and impress your friends with the newfound knowledge. Now, don't blame me if they start calling you Fibonacci instead of your real name. And this is, I had a short video. You can see how the numbers always come into the same chemistry. And there actually might even be a better there's another video here I just saw as I was, if you can look there, the humpback whale trapping a herring in between bubble nets. Scientists speculate that these patterns resemble the Fibonacci sequence, are more effective at trapping the fish in a circular one, allowing the whales to gorge later. Now watch this. Now we just watched. So I won't go down the rabbit hole too much, okay? But there's that again here. What does this one say? The Fibonacci sequence in plants visual guide. The golden ratio, 1.618 in Fibonacci sequence, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, are said to be found throughout the universe. While many of these claims are false, they say, the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence appear in plant structure frequently. So what's with these numbers and how do they relate and why do the plants love them so much? And then this is a whole thing here. The golden ratio, or phi, is an irrational number, meaning it cannot be written as the ratio of two simple integers. Like pi, it has a non-repeating, non-terminating decimal expansion starting at 1.618. Interestingly, this number emerges when the line is divided in two parts, such as the longer half is divided in the shorter half and is equal to the whole line, a plus b divided by the longer of a. This turns into a very useful number for plants. You see how this works? So when you understand that this is how numbers work, this is how the universe is working, for whatever reason, we don't make the rules, then you can start to apply these types of things in your charting. A rectangular has the side lengths of the golden ratio, is a golden rectangle. A square with the side lengths of a smaller part placed in the smaller half create the golden rectangle red. Another golden rectangle in red. This process can continue indefinitely, creating infinite numbers of golden triangles. The sequence forms a spiral called a golden spiral. So how does the golden ratio relate to the Fibonacci sequence? The Fibonacci sequence 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13 is a sequence formed by summing the previous two numbers before it. As the sequence continues, the ratio of two adjacent numbers becomes closer and closer to the golden ratio. Interesting, right? I'm gonna come off the rabbit hole. It's not really a rabbit hole, guys. That's the way the universe works. So when we're charting these, when we're charting the markets, when we're looking at what is going to happen, and a lot of times the timing is not exactly what we think it will be. Now we go back and forth on timing because trading on timing, of course, well, this usually happens at that, and that's not what I'm talking about. But the timing of, okay, we'll look at the chart and be like, okay, this is going to go down, or this is going to go up, or this is going to go down this far. Sometimes it doesn't happen exactly when we want it to, or think that it might, or we might be looking at something and being like, well, it's going to go down, but we don't know why. Pavel Durov being arrested made the market move down. We didn't know why it was going to move down, but we knew it was going to move down. The world works. It's crazy. It really is. And like I said, now that we have AI working in so much, I mean, our markets, from stocks to crypto to gold to everything else, is the amount of AI and machine learning trading in the markets is crazy. It's crazy. So I don't know if that makes it apply even more. I would think that it does. Who knows? Are you guys trading? Are you trading? So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Trump. Trump! Will he triumph? Is Trump going to triumph? So we have the sentencing. Like I said, I believe I'll be in New York City, which will be pretty interesting on the 18th. I'm either going to be there on the 18th or I'm going to be there the day after. The 18th is an interesting day. That must be a Friday. The 18th or Thursday or Friday. Let me look at that real quick. September 18th is a Wednesday. Okay. So I have my flight, but I think I have my flight back. I don't have my flight up there. Or I have my flight up there. I don't know. I have to look. Anyway, it's going to be really interesting. Of course, this trial is moving forward in D.C. now as well. So we have, Jack Smith. We have a crazy situation in this country, really. I mean, so Jack is not confirmed by Congress. So the way a presidential appointee or an appointee works is they go before Congress and they get confirmed before Congress. But Jack Smith was never confirmed before Congress. And the Supreme Court brought this up, and so did Judge Cannon down in Florida. Basically, you don't have the authority to do this. Now, Jack Smith has basically snubbed his nose at the Supreme Court and decided that he is going to re-indict Trump, which he did. You have now Merrick Garland coming out yesterday, I believe, and threatening that anybody that is basically, I guess, I don't know if there's watching or whatnot, the election, trying to make sure that people aren't Merrick Garland cheating. Should be careful because he is going to prosecute them. Merrick Garland, until you arrest. Here we go. I think this is him right here. So they're on and on about the Russian interference again. Russian interference. Never mind Trump almost getting assassinated. This is pretty interesting. This is from Charlie Kirk. Charlie and I have been following each other for quite a bit. I was a partner for his Turning Point conference as well. Breaking. Attorney General Merrick Garland details the Justice Department's election threats task force. The task force is marshaling the full resources of the Justice Department to aggressively investigate and prosecute threats targeting election workers, officials, and volunteers. The regime is ramping up its fear campaign ahead of November. This is what Charlie Kirk said. I'm going to play the video. Department to aggressively investigate and prosecute threats of targeting election workers, officials, and volunteers. Do you see the problem here? So, threats against election workers, officials, and volunteers, not threats against people that are voting illegally. Basically, they're making it not illegal to vote. if you're not a citizen. I mean, that's basically what's happening. Let's listen to this clip.
In a democracy, people vote and argue and debate, often loudly, in order to achieve the policy outcomes they desire. And the Justice Department will continue to relentlessly protect the rights of all Americans to peacefully express their opinions, beliefs, and ideas. But the promise of our democracy is that people will not employ violence to achieve their preferred outcomes. The public servants who administer our elections must be able to do their jobs without fearing for their lives. That is why this task force has been marshaling the full resources of the Justice Department to aggressively investigate and prosecute threats targeting election workers, officials, and volunteers. In a democracy,
you guys know that we're not, I mean, we are a republic, right? I mean, you guys get that, right? We are a republic. We are a republic. They try to tell everybody we're a democracy because they want you guys to forget that we're a republic.
A democracy is a political system in which the people periodically, by majority vote at the polls, select their rulers. The rulers then have absolute power to make whatever laws they please by majority vote among themselves. In a constitutional republic, the people also, by majority vote at the polls, select rulers who make laws by majority vote among themselves. But the rulers cannot make any laws they please because the Constitution severely restricts their lawmaking power. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty. In this century, great strides have been made toward the goal of subverting our republic and transforming it into a democracy. The foremost tactic of the subverters is subversion of language. By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of American principles of government. The writers of the Constitution were anxious to safeguard liberty against dictatorship, monarchy they called it. But their chief anxiety was to protect the country against democracy. Edmund Randolph, delegate to the Constitutional Convention from Virginia, said the general object of the convention was to provide a cure for the follies and fury of democracy. Elbridge Gerry and Roger Sherman, delegates from Massachusetts and Connecticut, urged the Constitutional Convention to create a system to eliminate the evils that flow from the excess of democracy. Alexander Hamilton, delegate from New York, said, "We are now forming a Republican government. Real liberty is not found in democracy. If we incline too much to democracy, we shall soon shoot into a monarchy." John Adams, one of the giants of the American Revolutionary period, said, "Democracy will envy all, contend with all, endeavor to pull down all. And when by chance it happens to get the upper hand for a short time, democracy will be revengeful, bloody, and cruel." America was founded not as a democracy, but as a constitutional republic. We pledge allegiance to the republic for which our flag stands, not to a democracy. The Constitution requires a republican form of government for all states, but does not mention democracy, and neither does the Declaration of Independence or the Bill of Rights. A woman asked him what kind of government the convention had given America, and Franklin replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Very old and very wise, Franklin saw through the mists of time to the day when Americans might trade their freedom in a constitutional republic for the promise of government guaranteed equality and security in a democracy. And beyond that, to the day when democracy inevitably degenerates into dictatorship, guaranteeing nothing but poverty and serfdom for the people it robs and rules.
It's a very important little clip there, and I talk about it, but a lot of times I like bringing the clips out because it's always good to third party, right? So I bring in the third party. Hey, look, this guy says it too. We are a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. A democracy means you get the rulers, and the rulers rule you, and you have no say. A republic, constitutional republic is what we are. I hope I said that right. I say a lot of things, so if I messed it up. We are a constitutional republic. We are a republic. What do we have, sir? We have a republic if you can keep it. We have a constitutional republic. That means that we are in control. We put representatives there, and the representatives answer to us. It's a very hard system to keep, as you can see what's happened. course, the Fed took over in 1913, and they have told us over and over and over again that we are a democracy. Even people that we love are used to saying, oh, it's a democracy. We're not a democracy. We are a republic. Very important distinction. It has been a great show today. Always a pleasure. I'll be back on your TVs in about 5 hours. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.